Hey everyone, it's Matthew Kemp. Welcome to the Daily Thought from My Quiet Time, Theology on the Ground. Today coming at you from Proverbs 28. This is an idea that I've gone over before, but I think this verse really illustrates it well. So this is Proverbs 28:6. Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. Now, a couple things that are interesting here. First of all, there's the implicit assumption. This proverb is aiming to provide a different perspective. Sometimes when you read these proverbs, you can tell that, there's almost like an implied, you think this, but really it's this. And so sometimes it completely goes against that. You think this, but you're wrong. And sometimes it's, sort of subtle, like you think this, but it's slightly different. And so in this case, you'll notice there's the implicit assumption that you'd rather be rich than poor. So when you read the proverb, better is a poor man, you realize that the implicit assumption that people are going to have is that rich is better than poor. And then you have it here, though, better is the poor man who walks in integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. So he's not saying here in writing this proverb that poverty is better than riches. You have the people who on the side of a poverty theology would say, hey, Jesus was homeless, he was poor, he was dead broke. If you're poor, you're like Jesus. There's those who would have a prosperity theology. Hey, wealth is a sign of God's blessing. They want to look at the Lord Jesus right now in heaven with streets paved of gold. Hey, he is filthy rich, and God is filthy rich, and if you want to be blessed by God, you got to be filthy rich. And in reality, in the world that we live in now, the sinful, fallen world, some people are going to be poor, some people are going to be rich. And what the author of this proverb is saying here is not, well, either poverty itself is good or riches is good. He draws it back to other considerations. So better is a poor man who walks in integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways, i.e. he's putting the focus on character. You can be poor but have good character, and that's what's important. And then you're better than somebody who is rich but has poor character, doesn't walk in integrity, who's crooked in his ways. And similarly, because it's about the character, you could say, well, better is a rich man who walks in integrity than a poor man who's crooked in his ways, who drinks his wealth, just constantly hitting the bottle and different vices and gambling and loses his money that way. So it's not this simple, poverty good, riches bad, or riches good, poverty bad. It's a more complicated thing. Both riches and poverty could be a God-ordained season for you. Your character is more important, and then as I've covered many times on this channel and in the blog at theologyontheground.com, generosity is what's important. And generosity, Jesus has made clear, like with the parable of the widow's mite, you can be generous and poor, you can be generous and rich, you can be stingy and poor, you can be stingy and rich. You want to be generous. And of course, I've also covered that you can talk about the poor in America all we want, but like, poor people here have iPhones. Like, you literally have access to a technology that, even the richest people a generation ago couldn't have paid for it if it did exist. But it didn't even exist. So I think everybody who's watching this video, especially if you're in America, and if you're watching this outside of America, I'm very humbled that you're actually watching me. But I think everybody in America or any other really first world country needs to recognize, hey, we're richer than the vast majority of the world right now. We're richer than all of human history that's come before us. Yes, there can still be poverty, so to speak, and yes, you still might need to help somebody out, even who lives in America. But, one of the things we should all do is sort of count our blessings, realize how grateful we should be for the time that we live in and for the amount of blessings and leisure that we've been afforded. And then also, of course, remember the lesson from Proverbs today, not about riches or poverty. It's about your character. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.